Welcome back. Well, if you're looking for the best interactive firearms training system, look no further than MILO Range. I'm here with Robert McHugh. Robert, tell us about your company and what you have new here in front of us for 2015.
Well, you bet. MILO Range Training Systems is a 20-year-old company, and we've been making interactive use of force simulators, small arms weapons training simulators, and firearms training simulators for law enforcement, public safety, and military services for over 2 decades. And we've got a couple of new things that we're kind of highlighting here at IACP that we'd be happy to show your viewers.
So right in back of us, we basically have the whole setup here, and we've got an array of firearms right in front of us that this works with, correct?
Right, and not just firearms, because these just aren't designed to do firearms training. It's designed to give the entire use of force continuum, from verbal commands to less lethal. Firearms, it's just a tool that's used in here if it has to be used in a judicious way. And what we want them to do is if they're going to make a mistake, we want them to make it here, not out in the streets.
Yes, because those instantaneous decisions they have to make can be perfected here rather than out where there's actually a life and death situation
Absolutely.
happening.
There's a lot of tools on these systems that allow us to analyze, debrief, correct, and remediate deficiencies that they may have, and then perfect those things so that when they go out on the street, they're more confident, more competent, and they're definitely more skilled at using all these tools in high-stress situations.
Now you've got somebody here that's going to demonstrate these for us too, correct?
John Jones over here is going to show us how this works and give your viewers a little taste of what it's like to be a police officer in a high-stress situation. Okay, what we're looking at here behind our officer here is a computer-generated world in 180 degrees where there's a number of different threats that will be presented to them, and they have to make a decision about which is a friend, which is a foe, which weapon is the appropriate choice to engage them with. What John has here is a real AR-15 M4 rifle that has been retrofitted to fire blanks and a laser that will interact with the system. Now what's unique about this is not only is it immersive, the world is around him, but it's interactive with him. John, why don't you go ahead and kind of move around in there and show us how it works. So what you'll see is the scenes on the screen are moving with him. On a standard simulator, they just don't do that. So we've got a new level of immersiveness and a new level of interactivity that haven't been seen on these types of use of force systems before. Johnny, go ahead and engage. Now you see the blank shooting out. It operates and functions just like a real-world system. Move around a little bit for me. Swing left. Swing right. Threats right. Back up. Okay, stop. And this type of training is great for soldiers that are getting deployed so that they have an opportunity to see where they go. It increases soldier survivability, and it demonstrates that they are capable of completing the mission when they get out into the real world. Okay, what you're going to see here is a video scenario that's been designed to test the individual's judgment, their ability to recognize threats, and then apply the appropriate level of force as the situation dictates. This is a replay where we're able to gauge the individual's accuracy, and then we talk to them about what did you see, what did you hear, what are the facts, why did you use this level of force, how could you justify this, are there any other alternatives that you could have used, and if you made a mistake, is there something that you could have said or done differently? And we're also videoing the trainees so that they can learn by watching themselves. On the center screen here, what you'll see is the officer has a chance to review with the instructor their positioning, their tactical decisions, their verbal commands. And the idea, again, is if they do make a mistake in the application of force or decision-making or the tools that they carry, we have a chance to correct it in here so that they can perfect it before they go out in the street. These officers that are serving their communities want to do a good job, but they want to be proficient with the tools that they have and the skills they need so that they can make decisions to protect property and people in the communities they serve. many encounters that law enforcement officers have to get involved with take place during periods of low light, where the sun is down and it's dark out. And one of the problems with training is that in order to train in low light, it has to be at night. But on the simulator, you can turn anything into a nighttime scenario, adjusting the ambient light. Now, he's got a problem here because he's got two individuals and a wide area to cover.
Parker, you got her. Let me see your hands. Put your hands up. Sir, you stay right where you are. Stay right where you are. Stay right where you are. Sir, stay right where you are.
Now, Robert, that was an amazing demonstration.
Yeah,
and it looks like below us we have an array of weapons that these can be used on.
Right. Well, it's not just weapons, because it's very important in a simulator they act and behave and wear what they wear in the real world. And we don't want officers. There's no community leader or chief of police that wants them to use deadly force unless they have to. There's a whole range of tools they carry so they don't have to use that. All the way from the X26 taser, which has been modified to be used on our system. It doesn't fire electrical barbs, it fires lasers. If they're in a scenario where there's an individual who is non-compliant, may want to fight, and they decide that the taser is the appropriate tool, they can draw it and use it here. And not only do they have to make the correct decision, but they have to deploy it within its technical capabilities. And there's a number of different trainings and things for that. There's also weapons that use blanks. There's also chemical irritants like OC spray. We can use baton, kicks, punches, but the best tool that they can use in here is their voice, is the ability to use verbal commands. And when they see something, they start to talk with the person. And the device on the floor there is looking at their body posture, listening to their voices, and it's causing the system to react, to take a certain path based on their positioning and their verbal communication skills. That's the best tool that they have, and the one that these chiefs of police would really like them to use. If they do make a mistake, we're able to take the scenario up or down and allow them to apply these various fundamentals until they have it just right.
Another nice feature of this system is it actually uses the real tool that's just adapted to use your system. And they don't have to go out and buy a special gun or a special taser that's going to make this work.
You bet. And it's very important. These are not toys. These are real guns. That's a real AR-15 M4 rifle. The only thing that we do is take the bolt carrier group out, put a new one in, and we use blanks and lasers. It's very important that they use the tools that they carry in the street so that the simulator experience carries over positively to the street experience.
They have the exact feel with their weapon, their tool in their hands as they do when they get out in the field.
We can program the same malfunctions that they experience in the real world right in here, so that if they have a jam in the weapon, happens all the time in the real world, they have to correct that malfunction using a specific clearing technique. The same thing in here can be programmed so that if it ever happens to them on the street, they'll have some experience doing that under stress.
That's very important, and that's especially I can see where it comes with this setup here, where it actually fires the blank, and the blanks come firing out of the gun.
You bet, absolutely. The only thing that this isn't doing is in here firing a bullet, and there's no smoke. Other than that, the individual training on this, as far as he is concerned, and his brain wraps itself around, he's got an AR-15 and he is in a battle.
Now you've got a couple of different tools to use in these, where one is actually firing the blanks.
We're using blank ammunition in here. It's made by a company called UTM, Ultimate Training Munitions, out of New Jersey. It's a great tool. We use it all the time. And that will cause the weapon to act more like it would in the real world. And you may have seen in our demonstration, magazine changes, malfunctions, all of the things that happen in the real world have to be done in here.
Now I'm looking, as your last round came out, your bolt stayed back just like it would in a real firearm.
You bet. That's what happens in the real world. It's very important that it happens in the simulator as well.
Perfect. So then you just slam your next mag in, hit your bolt release.
Next mag goes in, bolt goes forward, and you're back in action.
Cool. Very awesome.
You bet.
Now you also have a CO2 version that you can adapt these ARs to.
Right. A little bit more economical. CO2 is readily available. There's no types of rounds being ejected or anything like that, and it has a very realistic recoil. The key is so that it disturbs the sight so that you have to apply the fundamentals, just like you do in the real world. So again, this is a real M4 AR-15, M16 if you will, rifle, and what we're doing here is we change the bolt from the real one to this one, just takes 30 seconds, and instead of bullets, they have a magazine that has compressed air, 12 gram CO2 cartridges in it. And when you apply this weapon, there's no rounds being ejected, but it is giving the recoil so that I have to use these fundamentals. Other than that, it functions exactly the same way. If you don't use this properly in the simulator, the chances are you're not going to be able to use it properly in the real world. Learn here and then be perfect out there.
Which not only saves time, it'll eventually save officers' lives all the time.
Bob, that's what we're here for. We, all of our guys are mainly law enforcement and military, myself included. When we make these systems, we do it with the ultimate goal of having officers, if they're going to make mistakes, they make them here. And we want them just as much as their colleagues and their partners and the chiefs of police. We want them to be safe. We want them to be proficient so they protect the community and they go home at the end of their shift. And that's really what training is all about. It has to be lifelike. It has to be intense. It has to be it has to be perfect. And that's what we're working on every day here. More interactive, more realistic, and more immersive, so that when they go home, when they go out in the street, they're competent, they're skilled, and they know what they're doing so that they can sit down at dinner that night. A big part of our business is not sitting back on our heels and saying, hey, I think we got this right. We rely on input from our customers, who are all police officers, special forces, veterans, and say, how can we get better? How can we do this differently? What can we do different? So a lot of the development we do in our system is not us sitting around saying, hey, we should do this. It's coming from guys who have been there and people who have been on the street and from real world incidents that someone says, hey, I wish we had a chance to do a do-over on that. With interactive simulation, you do have a chance to do a do-over and maybe figure out different ways to approach things so the next time they go the way that everyone's safe.
Robert, that's an amazing device, amazing product. I know you got the attention of all of our viewers, the chiefs of police out there. They want to know how they can get some more information on MILO's.
Yeah, you bet. Well, we're a Michigan-based company. We're out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. All you have to do is go to milorange.com or just give us a call at 800-344-1707. All of our guys are ready to help.
Robert, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it.